So, long story short, I got really bored, decided to update my kelp farm design, and then make it modular so you can build it infinitely high within a 16 by 16 block. Yes, I realize this isn't 16 wide, but it can be flipped around from the solid block back there. So, of course, I just went and wanted to see how big it could be, so I went to build limit. Yay! It's a big one. Okay, as I said, really big kelp farm, and like every other redstone item on the planet, it has an off switch. So we can do that. And some stuff probably grew, and you can just see it falling down, collecting. And one thing I will say, because it's bound to happen somewhere sooner than later. Here we are. Um, these are the very basic blocks you need to do the build. One thing I would recommend is just, this is a little too wide area. So to build the design, just you can completely close it in, and it'll prevent that little bit of loss. With this farm, due to its size, I'm not really concerned about it, but that'll prevent blocks from just falling on the edge really randomly. But for the most part, everything else, I believe I debugged it out and whatnot. And you can, here's the proof, you can go infinitely high with it. Main idea is I wanted the redstone to be cheap, so literally most of the complicated irony stuff just comes here on the main floor. So let's get into the build really quick, as I realize I'm missing my cards. Okay, I quickly deleted some stuff and put the white wool there to kind of show me later that I deleted stuff and should put that back eventually. The whole reason why this whole half is built and not the other half is because you literally take this entire thing, 180 right here, and it's the exact same thing. It all uses the same little bit of redstone down the center. So just if this is your first time building it, to help you remember everything, you can do a line of 12 blocks right here, and that's gonna tell you that's the middle. This is literally dedicated to just the redstone, and I recommend you build everything first and then come in and do the water, because I've washed away redstone before. For example, that's you have to waterlog pistons, and I'll explain why later. So we'll get rid of that and put that all back to normal. So we have our first little line here, and now we're going to build pretty much the area where we grow and harvest and everything, the second phase, if you will. So we're going to do another solid line. I'm going to come forward 2 blocks, and then close it off. And you can make this infinitely long if you want to build more modules and extend it. I just like the idea of it sitting in a chunk, so that's why we're going for that's why the entire build's 12 blocks. We have 10 kelp. Kelp grows relatively fast, and again, you can stack this infinitely. The only reason you don't hear the whole thing going off is that I have the off switch up there right now, so that's not going to work. Didn't want the noise. So we have the sand, first layer. Second layer is where kelp's going to go, so we can't have anything that's going to break the block. So what I do is I just do a line there, and this is where I just put the lighting. One, it lights your build up, makes it look pretty, and helps with growing and all that stuff. I'm going to come forward to move on over and make a second hole, and you can add the water here and make all these source blocks, and this is where your kelp's going to be grown. Now, to break the kelp, we need a line of pistons, which is why you see that white line wool right there, because you were going to be waterlogging these later, and that is literally so it can create a new path of water. And behind these pistons, to activate everybody, we're going to do a line of solid blocks followed by some redstone dust. And every so often, you want to place an observer. I'm doing 2 just because, resource costs and whatnot. And essentially what happens when these 2 kelp grow up and activate one of the 2 observers, the entire line goes, so everything gets harvested. Is it going to affect your rates? A little bit, but you're still getting a healthy amount of kelp out of it. And then we're just going to fill this wall in really quick. And I lied because these 3 blocks don't need to exist. What we need instead is hoppers. And the important part is you want to come out to a third row. So this is going to be part of the collection hopper, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks total. So from your pistons starting at 1, and then you go out past the glass, so that's going to be 4 hoppers total. And then we are going to come on down all the way to the end here, almost to the end. And then we're going to pull our glass out and frame that. And go 1 more layer and do that. And that is pretty much the very basic layer. This is going to be the entire collection area. And what I mean by that is we're going to add water right here. Don't click on the hopper, click on the glass here and fill this in. And the main reason why we need those pistons waterlogged is I will demonstrate. If we activate them really, if I place the wrong block, if I hit the wrong block and delete that one, kind of deletes all our water. But if we come in and waterlog our pistons and place 1 block there, when we come back with these guys, all those turn back into source blocks. And the important part is you only want the 1 line of water placed in front of the observers and whatnot, because it's going to push everybody. Why are you weird? Push everybody into the hoppers, and this is your collection level. So as everything grows and gets happy, everybody gets collected. And one thing I am going to do while I'm down here is I'm going to delete this line really quick because I do need the on-off switch again. I should not have grabbed the kelp. And for that, I'm going to want a redstone torch, the redstone dust, and over here is where I hid the lever. And I do the on-off switch on the opposite of the opposite of the, forgetting my words, dispensers, not dispensers. Wow, I am forgetting what these are called. Hoppers. Wow, that was harder than it needed to be. And forgot the most important part. So, I'm gonna have a lever there. I like it at too high because it just looks pretty that way. And we are going to go here with the redstone dust, come out, and then redstone dust into a torch. So that torch turns off, and I built it backwards. No dust here, torch there, block there, torch there. So that one's on, the other one's off. So when the switch is switched, that's going to turn the redstone on, which is going to push our pistons out. And when we flick the switch, it turns off, and we get growing again. That way, if you have too many redstone builds, you can kind of turn this one off, and it's not going to mess with everything. And while I'm thinking of it really quick, we are going to require a half slab. We're going to connect the rest of the system up and fix it so the on-off switch works on the whole thing. Redstone dust here, right above our piston, as the system fires and scares the bejeebus out of me. And then upside down, 2 upside down. Wait a minute. Put the imaginary line of stuff there. And one thing I do like, while I'm thinking ahead of myself, is to have the redstone on, because that will not work. Why will not that work? Because I put redstone dust there because I done gone goofed. Upside down, solid, all in a diagonal fashion. And we're going to place 2 dust right here. You can see them lighting on. A torch which should turn off, and a torch which should turn on. and that will activate this entire line, which we're going to imagine that the pistons are still here. So that turns on, and then it goes up, but wait a minute, why is this one still on? It's simple. To keep it on, I place that. And now the entire system just cycled. So now we have the entire thing reconnected. I am going to go flickety flick, and this side will be operating again. Well, except for these two layers, because, you know, I kind of got rid of the pistons. But, wait a minute, oh, yeah, never mind. My brain not working. Everything else here will be growing. So we will see a little bit of kelp collecting. Got a little bit here from this guy working. And that is pretty much the very, very, very first layer, which is a little bit taller than the rest of them. You can see 4 blocks here, whereas the rest is 2. But this layer. So now we have our first module in redstone here, which is literally going to be the same thing. When you build it up, you just have a line of redstone dust, and then you place the diagonal. The redstone itself is super easy. And now I am going to need me some glass. I don't need piston. I'm all set with redstone. I have a little bit of redstone on me. What I am going to need again, I have the kelp, I have the water. I'm going to need stairs and a fence. And this is all of your choice. I'm going to need the observer back. Yeah, I'll grab stuff as I need here off the wall. So we're going to build this line by line again. So solid line of your choice. And then we're going to do a layer of glass. Come out with, I think, one more layer. Did I do one more layer? I did not do one more layer. Okay, I remember what I did. Coming up with one more line of your choice. Doing the 10 sand again. And then we're going to come in and box that off. And what we're doing is separating the rest of the machine from the collection, because sand is a gravity block. Without the glass underneath, that's going to happen, and that's a no-no. So we're going to build our little growing platform again. Come out, do that. Do that. Cross. Kelp. And this is going to be where I need a lighting block. So, lighting block, wherever, oh wait. Brain fart. Lighting block down here. Why? Because I'm being a silly little penguin. Deleting, washing out some redstone. Technical difficulties. And this is our piston layer. The best way I can remember it is your kelp source block, pistons, observers. So before we go to the observer layer, let's build in the rest of this and surround it. And then we'll come in with our observers. 1, 2. And this is where yes, this is where things begin to get really weird, and bear with me. So we are going to come out 4 blocks and close in this area. So we have a 1 gap hole right here. And in this 1 gap hole, we're going to put our fencing. And literally the fencing, I'll show you on this side. You have this little fencing, and that's just going to push the items that come up to the edge here so they fall straight down. And there was a bad habit of pretty much items getting stuck on these fencing, so that's why we have this little water trough here. Because water's easy to get, stairs are inexpensive, so are fences. and it just happens to work out the best way. And remember the first trick, you want to waterlog those pistons of yours, make sure they're all done, pop in the corner, and then right off this blocks here with the observers, you place in stuff so it pushes it forward. And now the fun part, we're going to have stairs facing towards the fence post, that way water doesn't shoot out the back. We are going to come in with our glass and come in 4 wide over your little water source here. And the important part is, before you place any water, this line of fence goes right in, because I have messed it up many times. If it's not there, everything is going to quickly turn into source blocks, and then you have to drain the system and refill it with water, and it's a pain in the butt. There we go. And then we have the next, then we have that, and literally it's rinse and repeat. We have a nice convenient fence. We're going to place our sand layer for our kelp to grow on. Going to realize I placed that forward too much. What I meant to say is we have convenient glass behind our fencing to build upon. Going to pull up the wall back here to match with it. Frame it in with our glass. Come in with wall, skip spots because that's where our lighting block is going to go. And once you get the rhythm down, it gets a lot faster and easier to build. Grab the solid block, come forward. Doot. Well, helps if you put the water in before you add your kelp. And we just placed our source block for the kelp. So we're going to place our pistons, and if this is your first time building this side, you're going to do your line of source, your solid blocks with your redstone on top, so the pistons will activate when we add in our observers. And one of the neat things about having the back-to-back redstone is if this side activates, so does this one. So there is multiple stages and steps where this system will fire multiple times, and everything will get harvested relatively fast. Because I'm hearing a healthy amount of splunks on the other side here, and I'm just building this. So that. Solid block. Wait. Nope. Observer layer is the one that pushes off over to the edge there. So, come out. And I do want to say, while I'm quickly tossing this stuff in, if you stuck around this far in the video, I do thank you. If you have any questions about the build, comment them down below. It's been a while since I've recorded anything for people to view, so a little antsy. I'm going to be honest with you. So we're going to do the next layer. Does not have that. Less blocks over the source. Important to add the fencing first. And in reality, you don't need to add this layer if this is the top of your machine. I'm just adding it because hypothetically we're going to build another layer. Not actually, because I'm already have half an hour of material recorded, and I would like to edit this down, so hopefully 20-minute video. But that's pretty much it. You would just keep building infinitely over and over again. It's just copy and paste. You can go literally to build limit. Pretty much the one reason if I hadn't said it before, I like having things in one chunk, mainly for chunk loading reasons and whatnot. It doesn't mess up your redstone. But if it does, you have an on-off switch, so you can turn all the redstone on, refix everything if it's on like half a chunk, and it's going to mess with redstone. But for this, the redstone is relatively easy, and there is a small bad habit of like stuff catching on the edge there. And if I haven't put it in the videos yet, literally you can just close this off for better catch rates. I just try and keep as minimal blocks as possible when it comes to designing my redstone. You can just add that stuff in. It's going to take a couple minutes. But that's pretty much it. Well, I was going to show off a smelter array, but honestly, that's not something complicated. If I get 5 likes, I'll toss a smelter array down here. But the main idea for this is, and one thing I am curious. Um, and ignoring the inventory, we got 1, 2, 2.5 hoppers full. Yeah, grab that. And the main inspiration on why I'm doing this is literally you can run the hoppers down into the next floor, which would be your smelting array. And I actually did over on this side. Essentially, it's going to feed down. I have a little chest system for backlogs, which these are empty, and you can access this furnace, which would be a smoker or something. Put your source, all your dried kelp would come down here, and you would have a crafting table. Well, it would all feed down into the system. You'd have a crafting table relatively close by, so you can make the blocks, which goes into a smelting array, so you have pretty much all your smelting needs in one spot. That is the quick version of it. But again, 5 likes, I'll do a smelting array, explain that area a little bit more. But essentially, we have a big old kelp farm that feeds fresh kelp into wherever you send it to. And pretty much just a couple modules, and if it's close enough to your base, it's always going to be working. And I don't think you need build limit unless, you're doing hermitcraft levels crafting. But this should be fine. Just literally 2 modules, your base layer and 1 more layer. 2 if you're playing with friends and stuff should be more than enough for you guys. Remember a survival world I built for the base layer, which is the inspiration on why I made it modular and stackable. I had 4 of these. There were 10 block build chamber these guys are, and it gave just quick guessing numbers for yourself there. And in the course of, I think this was active for 10 minutes, we got the 2.5 hoppers full, which is open stacks. So that's pretty much going to be it. I think I've rambled on long enough. I hope you enjoyed the video. And that's pretty much it. Have a nice day. Bye. Comment if you have any questions. I will answer them best of my ability. If I rectify it on video to make it a little bit easier for everyone. And comments, complaints, critiques, I'm open to it all. And I hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye.